We were jetting from Tomorrowland to Ibiza. I was tired, so we go into the jet. I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna sleep. My ex-wife was poking me awake. I see her sitting across from me with an oxygen mask on. The whole cabin is dark, and I hear, woo, woo, woo. She's pointing to my oxygen mask. As soon as I put the mask on, we went like this for 10 minutes.
No.
Like the seal of the door broke. That's when my life shot.
That was after you put out the song Turbulence. And
Hey, I love that. We played it going down.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, guys? We are back. Cheat Codes Podcast. We were gone for a minute. We were doing some shows, a little bit busy, but we're back with a very special guest today, Laidback Luke.
Let's go.
He is in the building.
Here we
Thank
are.
you for jumping on the pod with us. We really appreciate it. And last night we were in Academy, Los Angeles, and we did a little show. I was actually telling you that we did our first back-to-back. We've never done a back-to-back before.
I was so shocked to hear that.
I know.
Because we're not Dutch European DJs that just go back to back since we were 12. Like we're like American
we came at it.
producers
Yeah.
that had to learn how to DJ because our booking agents said, "Hey, we got you this gig at these clubs, so figure it out."
But I couldn't tell yesterday because, we had the vibes and all seemed very natural. Even if you'd be in the crowd, you would even say, we rehearsed this, right? We practiced this, but it was just seamless.
I rehearsed it in my mind, so maybe that's what it was. I was like, okay, he wants to play this song. We want to do another song. This song's in the same key as the song I want to play after. Let's just see
It
how it
flowed
works.
naturally.
So it's good that you were cool with the plan. Cause
Yeah. No, that was great. Great vibe as well last night. Loved actually seeing you in action. I've never seen you guys in action because obviously, I have my own shows and
Right.
never really got to see what Cheat Codes is all about. It was good to see.
Yeah, and with the club life, if you're a headliner, you're not really networking with other headliners. So it's like, unless it's like a Tomorrowland or an Ultra, those are like the reunions of the year where you're like, oh, cool, I get to see my friend Armin van Buren and see what he's up to. So that's like LA for us is the only time we can, hey, let's have all the friends come out, and we had some guest vocalists and all that. But I will tell you, I did a sound check, and the sound guy I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Laidback Luke come out. He was like, oh, did you know he only DJs with a phone now?
Oh, are we going to talk about that?
We can
That
talk.
would be
We
fun.
can if you want.
Yeah. No, so it's interesting. And I love that he brought that up. And I love that it's catching up to everyone. Everyone's noting this. But the weird thing to me is that it sounds weird.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, so if we would have a Zoom meeting right now and we wouldn't have a computer with us, you take your Zoom meeting on a phone.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you would step in the car and you would use your GPS, you would pull up your phone. And so my concept is, why can't I use this as the brain of my DJ setup to DJ?
Your computer, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. I had this talk with my sound guy over the weekend, and he's like, that's crazy. So your
It's
phone...
like mind blowing.
Yeah.
You use your phone.
I know, right?
I'm like, you need to see this as mini Serato. And furthermore, so I
But
compared...
it's a different app though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I compared it to a CDJ. So if you just imagine the computing power of a CDJ, what kind of chips are in a CDJ compared to in a phone? So this is a mini laptop, right? A CDJ is nowhere near a laptop.
Right.
This is way more powerful. And so there's all of these angles where I'm like, a lot of people don't get it. Like, because it's not a bizarre concept. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
That's wild. When did you start doing that?
About 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So the reason why I got into it is because the software that I'm DJing with, DJ Pro, was the first software that implemented real time stems.
right.
And when I saw that, I was blown away. Like, dude, with a twist of a button, I get the instrumental or the a cappella, and every track in the world because I'm streaming half of my stuff, and I'm like, I was mind blown. This was like a
So when you
miracle.
say, I've seen this before, but when they say stems, I'm always confused. You can just look it up. Is that what you're saying? Like you can just, like Spotify, you just type it in, or you have to download them ahead of time?
Dude, I could pull up any track you can imagine right now.
Yeah, because that's what the sound guy was telling me.
Yeah.
He said that you pulled up some Kelly Clarkson vocal.
Yeah.
Like you're like, hey, just give me a vocal.
No
and you
way.
pulled it up.
Yeah.
On your phone right now.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the computing power is so powerful. AI on the spot takes
Gets
out
rid
the
of
vocal.
the, like takes the track
Yeah.
out.
You don't need to like load it in prior or anything. It's real time.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, that'll change the game. I mean, because I'm sure we're not the only DJs that the most annoying thing is when you play a club, you've made hundreds of songs and the people in the crowd, they're like, play Ty Dolla Sign. And you're like, dude, I don't have Ty Dolla Sign downloaded. Like,
Right,
I'm
right.
sorry. Do you want to hear any of my other 100 songs? But with this, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, fine. I'll type in Ty Dolla Sign.
Yeah.
And then it's fun because you can put it over a dance track or like on
Exactly.
Say what they want.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's also funny because I obviously, this is my history. I started promoting the CDJ 2000s when they came out. I was the front guy for Pioneer.
the spot. So you betrayed them is what you're saying.
I didn't betray them. I was like, I was right there, and I was DJing on CDJs ever since 2003.
Wow.
So for me, this ecosystem of CDJs feels super old. I'm like, why are all of us still DJing with these clunky plastic boxes?
Especially for the younger up and coming DJs, because when we first started, we had one of the the 1 unit
All-in-one.
things. Yeah, all in
DJ,
one.
yeah.
You know, it was probably like less than $1,000 or whatever. And then you progress and you're like, okay, we should probably buy our own CDJs. And you're like, wait, it's gonna be $6,000 just for like 2 CDJs and a mixer.
Exactly.
Like, damn, if
It's
you're
even
like
more now.
right?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like 2-3 grand.
That was
something like
that was
for,
when we
like,
bought
each
the original
thing.
like Nexus ones, and I think the 3000s are like a little bit more, like $8,000 or something.
Yeah.
And then what do you actually get? Because I am under the impression that a whole lot of controllers are actually more advanced than the flagship setup. Like you can do more stuff with it
Right.
than the actual separate units.
Yeah, it's interesting when you compare it to the phone. Like your phone's, got to be
But-
way more powerful
Yeah.
than these.
But also, even if it did the same, just that alone, being able to do requests on a whim is
Yeah,
like that's
that's sick.
the most important thing. Is,
And put it in your pocket.
yeah,
You know, you're
is-
not having to carry these huge boxes and cases and whatever, all these wires.
Oh
whatever.
yeah, so I do need to clarify. It's not just the phone. Like I'm not DJing like with the phone on the desk.
Yeah, it's like I saw the MIDI controller.
Yeah,
thing,
I developed my own MIDI controller. I'm just gonna do a shameless plug here. It's a Reloop Mixtor Pro, which is my own little setup, which is 4 decks and a mixer in one, and that is what I control the phone with.
Wow.
So you designed the MIDI controller, or it was already a MIDI controller and you just decided to use it with the software?
There was a version 1 of it, and I started using it, and I was like, it needs to improve.
You're like, let me invest.
Yeah, well, no, not investing. I was like, I want to improve this. I want to make this like the pro version. And so they listened, and we designed a new unit. And when you feel it and hold it, it feels really like pro level, like very sturdy and everything. So probably like when you DJ at the festivals, you get like the half of the knobs aren't working,
Yeah.
and the whole day it's been in the sun, and people with their dirty claws on there, and whatever.
Spilling alcohol and whatever.
And so I bring my own unit. I know it works. Only my fingers have touched it, and
Right.
I love that. And furthermore, I could be DJing here on the couch as well, or in my hotel room, or because it's portable.
You
What
just
was the
bring-
process
yeah.
like creating like a hardware with them?
It was a long process. It actually took us 2 years before it came out.
Wow.
A lot of back and forth, and I'd never been in the process before. Like I didn't know what it took.
It seems overwhelming just off the top of your head. Like you just, I'm not even going to go there, you know?
Well-
Software, hardware, design, like
But
making sure it all works.
if you work
like-
with like a pro company, I guess
Yeah.
it's cool.
Well, the beauty is you get to develop what you want. I'm like, I don't like that button there. That needs to do something else. Fix it,
Yeah, I guess you can just
Right.
map it differently.
Yeah. And so now this unit is exactly what I wanted. What I
Did you
need.
kind of draw something out, like a sketch?
I did.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. Super cool.
Yeah.
See, you had no idea.
Yeah,
But
that's
I mean,
sick.
it makes sense. The music is the most important thing. So it's like have the software pull up the music as quickly as possible and be able to like warp the thing. And yeah, we do a lot of stuff with AI where we'll take the tracks out or change the vocal to a different person or like, Suno. So it makes sense that you're able to use AI while DJing live.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's the future.
And so there's something in there as well that's AI beat grid, which means I could pull up any disco track or rock track, and it puts it in a proper grid, and I can mix it.
Wow.
Wow.
And this
On
it's
the
called
spot.
Crazy, dude.
it's
so if
called
something's off tempo, it'll
Yeah.
just fix it.
It'll fix it on the fly, like it puts
Wow.
it in the
Wow.
BPM grid. Yeah.
it's called Reloop, right?
My unit is Reloop Mixtor Pro, and the software is DJ Pro. DJ Pro. It used to be
Okay.
called DJ Pro AI, but now we're leaving the AI. Yep.
So how do you feel about all the AI stuff? Because we kind of talk a lot about how we might only have like a couple years left, and then we got to like get a different job because like all this stuff's taking over. But you've always been very. This is the future. I'm on the CDJ in 2003. I got my new hardware. Are you worried about that at all? Or you're just like, no, I got this. I'm tech savvy.
So a little bit of history of electronic music. Electronic music was developed by being obsessed with new technology. Like when Kraftwerk started making their music, they were like,
The synths and all that.
yeah, the synths, this is new. We are robots, let's make music with all of these futuristic ideas. And I've always been in that mind state. This is the base of dance music. It was never like, oh, let's stick to this and be very conservative about it. It was always pushing the boundaries. Now we're at a new boundary with AI, and I welcome it, although it's frightening and scary, but also very intriguing. Obviously, we know what it does and what the impact would be for us next. But I'm excited, actually. It's going to be weird and different. And what is it that's going to be left in the near future? I saw this shout out to my Dutch DJ, Tim Hawks. He put a TikTok up. And the thing was like, you got to guess which track is made by AI and which track is made by a human. So he put on the first track. It was a dope house track. And then the second track came on. It was the most basic and cheesy, and it was really clear what AI did and what he did. So that's intriguing. Obviously, AI will improve, and it's only a matter of years. But there's still something there where it's like that we are the gold. Humans are the gold. We can do stuff that AI can't even fathom because it's all algorithmic and all based on what's happened before.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time on the pod, but there's this artist I'm sure you're aware of named Anima, and he's like huge at the Sphere right now, and his visuals are insane. And we were just talking about, say it was 3-4 years from now, would those fans still go to that same level quality show, music, production, if there was no human? And we were like, yeah, they probably would.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind goes of like, there's going to be like a label or like a company. There's going to be like a team, like how they make a Marvel movie where there's like a team of animators. There's going to be like a team of nerds that they're not musically inclined at all. And they'll be like, all right, here's what we're creating. And we're going to launch it here. And it's going to go at the Sphere. And there's not going to be a person. And no one's going to care.
Right, but there's still people involved with it, and it's still about curation and having taste and
Like a
creating
creative
an
collective.
experience for people. So it's obviously not the same as what people are doing now, but I think it'll still maybe draw people in.
Yeah, it's fascinating because Anima is based on all of those amazing graphics, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
the experience. And it's funny, you mentioned a couple of nerds coming together and design all of this. And I'm thinking, no, it's probably going to be a couple of AIs thinking this up and presenting it and then taking over like that. It's funny, right?
Well, that's kind of what it is. You're just hitting render a million times until you get the best thing that
the image you
makes
love.
sense. Yeah. And I wonder about this too with some of the movies that are coming out. There's a big controversy, I guess, with the Snow White movie because it's bombing or whatever. You were talking about the Snow White. But I think
Did you like the movie, Kev?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
but the box office is bombing. But I think part of the issue is now that we can create things so much quicker and cheaper that if you're Disney and you're like, oh crap, we put $200 million into this movie, the fans are back. They're giving us backlash about the elves or not the dwarves. The dwarves aren't right. We got to redo it. Oh no, like the animation's bad. We got to redo it. And then you go to see the movie and you can like obviously tell that it's been reshot and like recut and rewritten like 3 times. And now the story doesn't really make sense because it's like they're trying to please everybody. Whereas before you were like, okay, the writing's done. We're shooting the movie. There's no going back. We already finished this. And like, you either like it or you hate it, and they just had to like live with it.
Well, chiming into that, there's this movie called Flow, which is about a cat, or is it Flow? Like, and it won these awards, but then they found out that it was made with free software, free 3D visual software. You got to check it out. My kids love it, and I feel this is the first step into this is the bigger picture. In a near dystopian future, you come home and you tell your AI, listen, I have 1 hour and 23 minutes to watch a movie that it has humor, sci-fi in it, young Keanu Reeves, hot Marilyn Monroe, give it a pleasant ending, render now.
Yeah, so then it comes down to owning the IP.
Yeah. And then you sit down and watch that movie, and it's a great movie, and you're like, hey, send it to your friends, and it'll be like made on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with music, you know, with the ability to come out with full tracks, it's going to be a matter of curation where it's just on the fly. You get live. Because how much time do we spend scrolling on Netflix? Like, oh, I don't want to watch this. What do I want to watch? Oh, this is too long. Oh, I'm bored now. And it's like the AI can give that to you, and you don't need to scroll anymore.
I think that this is why companies are buying catalogs of music.
Yeah,
because it's about the IP, and they know that this is coming.
Yeah,
but they know if they own the IP, it's like you might be able to make like the tiniest amount of money, like social media money, by putting that prompt together, and it blows up. You know, you post it on Twitter and you're like, this is the prompt I made of Brad Pitt kissing Angelina Jolie in an elf costume, and they'll give you like less than 1% of that. But then all the people that own the IP, they're like, cool, make 1 million of these. Like, we're just banking every time and running ads off of it.
Yep.
Because they're going to be able to have AI to be able to track, like even if you cross it. But that's why they want to own so much of it, right? Like a big catalog. Because otherwise it would get messy.
Yeah.
Because then Universal can say, no, we own Brad Pitt's likeness. You can't make him kiss Angelina Jolie. Nope. Sony owns Angelina Jolie.
Oh right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a couple of rules that need to be not broken but open up for all of that for sure. But yeah, I can see that looming up in the near future.
But and that's what's interesting. We kind of started as songwriters, so we have a lot of songwriting friends, and there's a lot of people posting on Instagram, and they're kind of mad about the Spotify stuff. I don't know how much you follow Daniel Ek, the owner of Spotify. I think it was either early this year or late last year. He sold a bunch of shares and he made like $350 million. Have you been following this?
Yeah,
a lot of people post, and everyone's mad because they're like, he made more money last year than the biggest music artist in the world. That's so messed up. And I think he's worth $8 billion or something. So where do you see that with these platforms? And you have this guy like Daniel Ek who's becoming a billionaire, and he's literally bigger than they might even said like all the biggest musicians combined. He like made more money. There's more nuance to that, obviously, but some people would say that's a bad thing because they're able to lower like the amount of publishing that you would make or your royalties. You kind of don't have like what backlash do you have? Like you could boycott Spotify, but then no one listens to your music. Let
me take you back to the mid 90s. It's where I started making
Napster.
music. Not even this was before. I'm talking about putting vinyl out. So my first 5 years of putting music out was on vinyl. And I remember I only needed to sell about 1,700 copies to be able to pay my monthly rent. And these were underground tracks. So can you imagine like streaming 1,700 streams and being able to pay your rent off of it? these were different times, man. There was a ton of money in music. And now, indeed, shout out to the Spotify CEO guy. Good for him. But the money is now somewhere else. And it's crazy to think about how we got to this place.
It's advertising, and I talk about this all the time. We were talking about how podcasting's so big, but it's because if there's a 3-hour podcast versus a 3-minute song,
Yeah.
that you have way more advertising on this long podcast. Even if it doesn't get, a podcast can get 10,000 views, and you're going to make more money than a song with 1 million views because there's 10x the amount of time that you're watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is money will always be sitting somewhere, and somewhere it gets funneled.
Yeah, there's always a way to monetize it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am actually very much a fan of the idea of taking it back. Like, I actually love initiatives like Bandcamp, where it's like all of a sudden you can make $2 or $1 off of a sold track. And furthermore, if you create your own little niches and pockets of super fans, where you just keep it to yourselves, it's much more interesting.
Because it felt there was like a second where people thought that was going to be NFTs.
I know.
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Everyone, all the independent artists were like, oh, this is it. This is our revolution.
Right.
We're going to have NFTs. The fans are going to come back. They're going to be diehard fans again. They're going to buy, like you said, I could sell 1,000 albums, but I'll sell them at $100 a pop, and they'll be rare, limited edition, and I'll be able to pay my bills for the year.
Right. Maybe it comes down to like the massive artists doing that, because I feel like it's always like maybe the smaller or underground artists that are maybe doing these things that where it's like, you know, if Drake did it or something like that, then that would completely change the game. But, you know, he signs another deal with Republic for $100 million and he's locked in, you know, so it's like.
There's also the power of leaking.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, how do you control that? I'm saying like, what was like Kanye, he had that little toy box thing that he said he like sold his album on. Do you remember that?
Yeah, with all the stems on it.
Yeah.
You could like remake the album.
Did that ever get leaked? Did people, were they able to hear that?
I don't know.
That's a good question. It has to have been somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess you can have it pulled down, but yeah, I don't know.
It's changing a lot.
Yeah, it's changing fast. So we have to be ahead. That's why we have Laidback Luke on the podcast. So we can start thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Well, let's start thinking ahead, because one thing that's really powerful in the age of AI is, look, give me a hand. Power of touch. I'm touching the Snow White guy right now, and it feels great.
He loves Snow White.
It feels great. It feels warm, and it's like AI can't do that right now.
Right.
Just a hug or being in a sweaty room with a whole lot of people, that is a value right now, where you get the experience, right? That is where it's at least the coming 5 to 10 years until the robots take over.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, not even just in music business, but they're saying like, now's the time to lean into IRL, is what they say, in real life. And these are just business people, you know, like a Tony Robbins or like a Grant Cardone, people that do these live events, or even they don't do live events, or like, I'm going to start doing. We did a podcast with Ryan Pineda, and it's like he's doing live events all the time. He was like, I started with a couple a year, and now I do one every month, and I just do these like mini live events, because he knows the value of everyone's so much in the digital space that they have such fewer live interactions, that the ones that they have, they're super valuable now.
Exactly.
Imagine if you had live interaction every day, like our parents growing up in the 50s or whatever. That one day interaction, they might forget the next day. But if you're in your house on Call of Duty every day, and then you run into that one cool guy, you had that really deep conversation, you'd be like, wow, that guy was cool.
Yeah. And I don't know if your Instagram AI girlfriends would like it, but you can never actually meet those yet.
The robots. The
right.
robots.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because that's a thing right now, right? Your AI girlfriend or whatever.
Right. AI models or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some ways you think electronic artists can like continue like to have human aspects to their music? Because I know like other genres, maybe they just strip back and maybe do less produced or whatever, but electronic music is, you know, made on computers. So how can we still remain like to have that, like that human aspect of it in music?
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? What I've been telling a lot of young and up and coming talents is almost, and this is a hot take, right? Do not try and learn to make music anymore, because in a few years that's going to be obsolete.
Like a waste of time.
A waste of time. I
Right.
mean, if you want to waste that time, and because I love it, you know, tweaking knobs and getting the perfect production, but it's not needed anymore. So it's going to be quantity over quality.
Right.
And what is left? What is left is the vision of the artist, what they are trying to portray, what type of following they are trying to accumulate, what type of niche they're
What
in.
about like analog though? Because I got like one analog keyboard and I'm convinced in my head it sounds different. I swear.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think
No.
it does? Do you think I'm just tricking myself because I spent $1,000 or whatever I spent?
I think it's fascinating that the new generation are grabbing back to those JVC cameras, and you see like an influx of people wanting to DJ with vinyl, and I love that as a different movement, and I'm all for analog. That's where
Because
it came from.
that will take. I'm sure AI will figure it out eventually, but that'll be the last thing that AI figures out is to how to make it crappy in a human way.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's going to
Right.
start making it, and it's going to make it too perfect for a while
Yeah.
before it realizes like, oh, humans are flawed. Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess if you just go, okay, how do we go? The flawed, okay, analog. I'll actually play it. I won't do it with MIDI.
Won't quantize it.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, because even back when you first start learning producing, and you figure out like a lot of your favorite producers, there's certain parts of the song that aren't on the grid. You're like, oh, that's why it sounds so sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Like whether it's like a Calvin or like a Jay Dilla
Or
on this
Flume
drum.
or
yeah, Flume.
whatever.
Just Flume's like
Right.
famous for that. So maybe that's the way. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think what the crowd wants is what the artist's vision is. What is that type of community you want to be a part of? And so it'll be more on a level where it's not really even about the music itself. It's about what can you join into as a community.
Right. How can you curate it? What mood are you trying to invoke?
Yeah.
How is it supposed to look, feel, smell like, whatever else?
Yeah. And then tons of in real life experiences where you go and see this artist, or where you meet them, or
You got we. I don't know if this is a good thing, but we did a meet and greet yesterday, and the people were like, "Yeah, I saw you guys are playing. Like, I didn't even know you guys played shows anymore." And I was like, "Cool." I was like, "Cool, thanks." But I felt like whatever show he had seen us at made an impression,
Yeah.
because you're like,
Right.
"Oh, once I realized that you guys still play shows, I was like, I gotta go see the show."
My mind is blown right now. I thought I was the only one getting that, where people are like randomly coming up to me and they're like, "Are you still releasing music?" I'm like, releasing.
Last week I dropped the track.
Like, where do you think I went? Yeah, I'm still here.
It's like
Yeah.
so easy to look it up, like one Google search, and they're like, I had no idea. Because the algorithms are finding people now.
Yes.
When social media first started, it was like you build your followers, they get a notification every time you post or you have a song on Spotify, which I think they still do it on Spotify. I'm not 100% sure. But now they don't do that as much. Now the algorithm decides what they'll like in a probability. You know what I mean?
So it's interesting. I had this conversation with Don Diablo, who performed in Japan. He was pushing it and promoting it. He does his shows in Japan, returns back to Amsterdam, and then sees on his comments like, "Oh, dude, you were in Japan? I didn't know." And I have the same thing. I was just in Salt Lake City this weekend, and in my comments, I have two people like, "Dude, you were in Salt Lake City? I had no idea." And here I am the whole week posting like, "I'm in Salt Lake City.
City.
We're doing a meet and greet. Come and hang." And it doesn't reach the people, which is such a discrepancy, right?
You're sending it to like 5%, 1% of your followers.
Yeah,
and then
no.
those 1% don't live in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of, for their business model, they're basically forcing you as a business owner, artist, to pay money so that your fans in Salt Lake City can see that you're playing a show for them.
You almost have to run the ad. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so lame. But we're good homies with Steve Aoki. We did a couple of tours with him. I know you have a song called Turbulence. You have another song with Bruce Buffer. It's time.
Yeah, It's Time,
That song
yeah.
is sick. But I remember when we first got into it, we were like, I don't know how he does this, like 300 shows a year. Like, is that even worth it? Like, you don't even have time in the studio. But now with all the digital stuff, you realize that every show that he plays, he has on ground people with like an email list with flyers that are making those people aware, like, hey, Steve Aoki still exists. You know what I mean? That now with the algorithms, you're just shadow banned in a hole and people just think you died or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. That definitely needs improvement. And for people who are watching who indeed want to find out, it's just big teams as well. You know, I don't know how big your team is, but around myself as well, there's a ton of people doing things all around just to, you know, keep it alive.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, need a team.
I did want to kind of dive into kind of how you got started, because I find myself saying to myself, like, I'm getting kind of old for this. And then I look at Luke, and you've been around, you're like an OG, and you've seen it change. You like before sync buttons, you probably been DJing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vinyl.
I mean, you were making music on vinyl, before
Yeah.
people were making it on FL Studio or Ableton or whatever else. I heard a song you did. Was it your first song? Let me know if I'm wrong. Called Act the Fool.
Oh, wow. You
It
know
was
that?
1995.
Wow.
That's insane, dude.
Like 95. I was 2 years old.
4 years old.
Yeah. How did you even make that song? And how did things, like, how did you even go about sampling things back then? How do you get it cleared? How do you find the vocal? How do you make I have no idea how you would even make a track like back then without
Wow.
a computer.
Yeah. So that's my third release ever.
Okay.
And it was grabbing samples, especially in the mid 90s. We were all about sampling. But the samplers...
They had Pro Tools? Like, what did people use?
No. The samplers we had, like Akai
Live.
MPC, like the first Akai MPCs. And I remember my first sampler was an Akai, but it had a keyboard. And you had, might have been 12 or 16 seconds of sample time. And that's it. And worked with floppy disks.
Right.
So
yeah.
Okay.
once you had like 2 or 3 phrases of someone or a beat loop, you really had to, like, so a lot of times I would sample stuff from vinyl and I would play it at 45 speed and then slow it down afterwards to extend my sample length.
Right.
That is wild.
And so the first tracks I officially released, I made with an Atari computer, Atari ST, with Cubase on there, but the only thing Cubase did was MIDI. So everything was MIDI controlled. I had drum computers and I had a mixer, but nothing was inside of the computer. There was no audio.
Oh, okay.
It was like a live thing going on.
Okay.
Yeah. Different.
Yeah.
right?
So did you have to like, almost like record the whole thing like at once when you did those things?
You could do that, which I've done, and live sessions, and then later chop it up. But the whole chopping up was tricky because you didn't have computers with
Right.
computer power. But so whenever it was MIDI, it was kind of like, you know how you have a drum computer and you can like program the sequencing of it.
Yeah.
It was just a collection of sequences.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even loops. You were making the loops. It was like just, yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, it's all out of the box and MIDI. And so whenever you needed to mix something, I had outboard compressors, outboard reverbs, and just live on the mixer and that sort of thing. This was the landscape.
Right.
And it slowly became more and more in the box. And I remember fully going in the box in 2003 as well. Big year, I guess. Sold my whole studio and just only went on laptop. And people thought I was crazy. This is insane. You can't make music with just a laptop. Are you kidding me? Like,
Right.
first of all, that's not real producing. And second of
Right.
all, you can never get that analog sound. And
yeah,
it's-
like it's gonna sound thin or something.
yeah, and it's
Not
funny.
fat.
So I've went through that as well, but it's so good to have these type of roots. So I'm easily 30 years in right now, and with the ups and downs. I remember in 2004 meeting Tiesto's ex-manager, who's passed away now, rest in peace, Dimitri, and he said, "Luke, it's 2004. You had a couple of good years, like breaking through, but man, it's such a shame you never really made it, right? You have so much talent and so much potential. It was never there. Mind you, us Dutch people are very honest with each
Yeah,
other.
you guys are direct. I've noticed that.
And I was like, dude, it's all good. I think I still have a bit of time left. I was like 8 years into my career, and obviously, you guys know what happened in 2010, 2012.
Right.
And so my career had its ups and downs, and yeah, it's just a cycle like that.
I saw something where you were talking about Gaston from Chocolate Puma
Wow.
and how he put you on.
Yeah.
And I had no idea until I saw that, but we did a session with Chocolate Puma, I want to say in 2014, and they came to our house at Wyandotte.
Yes.
I wrote the dumbest top line over one of their tracks. They kind of looked at me like, is this like an American like thing? Like, what the hell are you pitching? But they were telling me at the time, they're like, yeah, like everything's coming back. Like we just started getting all these crazy bookings again. We're like touring more than ever we were before. This is like 2014. So it's like a group who I didn't like when we did that session. I had never heard of Chocolate Puma. I was like not a part of that Europe EDM scene, but I'm assuming for them, all of a sudden 2012 hits and they're like getting booked. It's like hot again, like it's cycled back.
Right.
And we're looking at in America at least, it's definitely a down cycle as far as EDM being commercial. So how many cycles have you seen? You've seen a couple, right? Because you're telling me in 2003, they're like, I guess it's over for you, Luke. You might want to hang it up.
Exactly. Yeah, so 4 to 5, but shout out to Chocolate Puma for being my forever mentors. They discovered me, they signed me. The reason why I trained a lot of my young and up-and-coming talents was because of Gaston treating me and training me. And so, for instance, let me flex for a moment. One of my producer students is Avicii. And obviously, we know what Avicii has accomplished. And DJ Pierre, who's a legend in the techno scene and one of the founders of dance music, he complimented me. He said, like, oh, Luke, it's so amazing the things you've taught Avicii and what we see through him. And I was like, DJ Pierre, you don't even know that Gaston came with your tracks to me and said, you need to listen to DJ Pierre. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to sound. And so his roots through Chocolate Puma came through to Avicii, and I gave that respect back to him. And it's like, that's how all of us are intertwined, and that's the roots there. So forever thankful for Chocolate Puma for always being so graceful and showing me the ways.
You released one of Avicii's first songs, right? Is his third song, Ryu and something else?
Wow.
Did a little bit of research.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was arguably his first release ever.
So wait, that was on Mix Mash?
Which was a duo release, combined release with Vicious Australia and Mixmash. And that's a full circle moment for me currently because my manager, Lorne Padman, he was at Vicious, and they were scouring my forum for new talent, which they picked a couple of, but it was a collaboration between Mixmash and Vicious. It was Avicii Ryu, yeah.
So they basically, because I'm very interested in like your label stuff. They were kind of using you as an A&R, like you find it and then they'll help kind of back it and promote it and make it a big record. Yeah.
Well, my whole vision for my record label was because I was guiding such amazing talent, and I often said, "Well, you have a great track. Good luck finding a label." And I was like, "I need a platform for these kids," and so Mixmash became a platform for young and up and coming talent. And I did the A&R, but what I also loved doing was mastering all of the tracks for it and that sort of thing, which I thought was so much fun.
You're like EDM daddy, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I read that you mentored Avicii, Afrojack.
Yep. Dioro. Bingo players.
Just the list goes on and on. And Oliver Heldens.
Yeah.
Right?
He was on there as well on my forum.
And you were like one of the first to support like that sort of funky house situation for him and really support him. And you helped release Gecko? Or
No, I didn't.
No?
So he demoed that to Tiesto back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Which was a golden move, obviously. But yeah, he was always scouring my forum. Like if you would ask, but even guys like W&W, what my tracks were for them, like as teenagers coming up, They're like, oh, that so something like Break Down the House is a big staple for like the Dutch house
Right.
sound. Yeah.
Wild. And speaking of that Avicii song, that song was, I think, 8 minutes and 7 seconds long, which is
Damn.
insane. You just don't see that anymore unless it's like,
There's no attention span for that here in America.
yeah,
let's be real.
the kick goes on for like a minute straight. You know, it's like things have changed so much. It's so interesting to see that.
Man, if you're into it though, and if you have the time like to sit down and go through it, it's magical for
Yeah.
sure. Like stop the scrolling for a second and just sit down and absorb the whole thing. It's life-changing.
That's wild, dude.
When you were doing your label, I'm assuming you had the forum first, you did the label. Were you investing your own money into each track, or is it more just like an A&R, like I'm finding it and I found some partners?
Well, I never really did the business side of it because my manager and my manager Olga and I ran the label, and she was always doing the business side and the financial stuff, and I just had creative freedom. But I do remember like putting out tracks back then was so much more profitable than
Right.
it is now.
Yeah, I was
Makes
going to
sense.
ask you that. Like, would it even be worth it to start a dance label at this point? Because it seems like no. I mean, we're good friends with Steve Voigt as well from Strange Fruits. I mean, he's been killing it, but those are all like covers, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
it's a little bit different.
Here's the thing. There's a thing going on TikTok where a kid is sending a demo to a record label, and the record label says, this is a great track, it's amazing, but you have less than 10,000 followers on TikTok. And it's like a shock, and it's like a hot take, and all the new talent is like, what does that even mean? I'm here to explain that. Whenever a label puts out a track currently, it costs the label about $3,500 to put it out. For promotion, reaching out to the platforms, getting it into the playlist, doing the artwork, doing the lyric video, etc., etc., etc.
And
So-
that's probably a low scale too. Probably a lot more.
A
So
lot more
if,
expensive, yeah.
if you're an artist without following and being unable to push it on your platforms, the label is gonna go in debt immediately. But if you have following, then it's profitable for a label. So that is why they are refusing people with less following, because they need that profit to just keep on running.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
wild.
What was a moment for you where you thought in your mind like, oh, I'm gonna be a DJ as a career? Because I think
That's a good question.
there's always that like scary jumping off point of, okay, I can go full time with this versus a hobby. I think most musicians go, even other genres.
Yeah. Well, and this is a great question because I get that a lot from new talent as well. It changed for me when I got a booking agent.
Yeah.
Like at first I had the vision as the, like, I want this, I need this, I'm going to do it. But then there's all of these mechanics. And obviously a lot of kids starting up just want to be in touch with the promoters and try and break through locally and that sort of thing. It's not really where it's at. Where it's at is that you get yourself up to a sort of a name and a hype that booking agents come to you and they're interested.
Mhm.
Then when you sign to one of them, then usually, yeah, you can make a career out of it. But even then, and I still have it after 30 years, it's like I still wake up every morning thinking, how long?
Yeah, it could
How
go.
long? Yeah.
No, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It could go away tomorrow. But did you have like a breakout track that got the booking agent interested, or was it just hustling, like doing local shows and putting out like kind of just club records until they're like, okay, this guy's serious?
Yeah, no, I never did local shows. I actually, because I started releasing real early, my tracks were distributed all over the world. And what is it? So Active Fool was my third release, but my second remix ever was for Green Velvet, The Stalker.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And that got picked up by Carl Cox. This was 1997. And Carl Cox put it on his mix CD. And mind you, Carl Cox was the DJ number one, the
Yeah.
official DJ number one in
OG,
the world back
yeah.
then. And that instantly gave me a career.
Wow, okay.
All of a sudden, I got bookings in
Right.
yeah, all over the world.
So you said that was 97?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you fell in love with the act of like producing music before
Yes.
like getting into DJing and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, here's a funny story. This you need to know. Because I come from a musical family. Both my Dutch side and my Filipino family are musicians. Everyone can play, everyone can sing, and so it's like kind of like in the blood, right? I was one of those family members that couldn't really play the instruments.
Oh,
So I
really?
can play a little bit of guitar, but I'm like I suck. Okay, I suck at.
But you had the ear.
I had the ear, and so
Yeah.
when I was 15, I discovered that I could make music with a computer, that I could program music. I was mind blown. I was like, all of a sudden, I could let all of this music out, and was then I decided I wanted to do this the rest of my life.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's my story, and I'm still happily programming music. I took piano lessons and that sort of thing, but I would never be able to be on stage and be like,
Right.
no, that's not it.
Is anybody else in your family a professional musician?
No, but I can tell you, my little brother, he can drum like at 180 BPM with two kick drums and
Oh,
You're
wow.
doing like a
And
death
legend.
metal band.
Super talented.
and he's flawless like that. It's incredible. Yeah.
That's really cool. Does your dad or your mom do anything musically as well?
No, this is all in like hobby realms, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just remember growing up, my mom would give private performances to our families and our friends, where she would actually have costume changes, and she would perform and sing
Oh, wow.
in the living room. And this is where I got like the showmanship from, because I always saw that. And then my dad was behind her having a little drum computer out, and he was there playing the guitar, doing her instrumentation, and she was performing. And this is how I grew up. I was like, oh, this is what every household does.
Right.
I think that's a huge advantage though, because it's normalized.
Yeah.
It's normalized to perform. And if you're not, then I think there's almost like a little bit of judgment sometimes, where they're like, oh, haha, you think you're some great singer.
Right.
But versus like your whole family does, and we're like, we're not trying to like compete with each other. We're just singing together like as a family. Or
Yeah.
And you want to contribute. You want to be in the jam. You want to perform with them and
you wanna
stuff.
be
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be behind my dad with a little plastic guitar, like pretending I was hitting all the notes with him. And so I've always had that.
Yeah.
And it's funny, if there's a difference between Avicii and myself, is that I really feel comfortable on stage. Whereas Avicii was
Right.
more of like a producer and would just wanted to be in a studio, so that really helped.
Yeah. I saw something that said that you were a graffiti artist.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
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 This guy
Well,
loves
wow.
graffiti.
Oh, wow.
Do you still do graffiti?
No, but my first talent in life is drawing.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I actually have a degree in graphic design, and I've drawn all my life. And
Do you ever do the artwork, like the single artwork for your stuff?
Well, the original Mix Mash logo was designed by myself, which was a graffiti type of
Oh, cool.
Okay, sweet.
tag. Yeah, and still my Laidback Luke signature is a tag as well. Yeah.
Is that just you're just practicing at your house, or is it more edgy where you're tagging the side of a building and you're running from
He's
the
tagging
cops?
the billboard.
Yeah. What was that? Did you? Yeah. Any good stories?
Because I would
Yes.
imagine Amsterdam's kind of.
like,
He's like, yes.
Yeah, he does. I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
No, I have really great stories about that. No, so I was doing that, tagging in the streets. Never really got to like do actual pieces, because this is the story. I must have been 15 years old, where it was at that point where I was like, okay, I want to take my graffiti outside, buy spray cans and go out in the middle of the night, put some pieces up. So we gathered a little group, and we were a crew, and we were gonna put our first pieces. So we went out. Was night number 1. I put my piece up, was really happy with it, and there was this one kid that was a perfectionist, and he was like, man, I'm not happy after night number 1. I'm gonna come back for night number 2. And we were like, okay, I guess. He came back for night number 3 to refine and do things. And on night number 3, he got caught.
Oh no.
And then he ratted all of us out.
Oh,
He
no.
snitched. He was snitching.
Dang.
And
Get
so
stitches.
all of us got caught, and we because we were teenagers, we could just like do voluntary work out in the Netherlands to
Community service.
yeah, to
Right.
community service. And it was back then where I was on the crossroads of like either choosing graffiti or making music. And because I got, caught,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to focus on music from now on. So actually that really helped. It was
Wow.
the start of me as a producer.
That's wild. Silver lining. You never know
Yeah.
what would happen if you didn't get caught. Maybe you'd be doing more graffiti.
Exactly.
Tagging everything.
Yeah. So the first two Laidback Luke logos are designed by legendary graffiti artists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. One of them is Delta, and the other one is Zed. Not the DJ.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, are all DJs graffiti artists now?
But yeah.
You're big on like mental health stuff though, because I know you mentioned Avicii. I've definitely noticed that a lot of the bigger DJs that have been doing it for a while, they're all sober now. I think that's like the wave.
Well,
Like you don't
Longevity.
see it.
I mean,
Yeah, you don't. But even just like the younger guys, I even saw like John Summit just posted. He's like, my first sober tour. Like,
Right.
it's like I don't know. Maybe that's just the new wave. The younger guys, they're just. I don't know. I feel like the 2010 era, it was kind of wild. Like it was a little sloppy. Like people just doing shots behind stage, drinking during the sets.
Rockstar DJ vibe.
Yeah, more. Yeah,
well, here's the thing: you try, right, and you live that, and then you find out you can't last.
Yeah.
So then you
Right.
gotta switch. Just like John Summit, I was reading his tweets and everything, and I'm like, man, this guy is on a forever bender. He cannot keep up.
yeah. I was kind of calling that a couple years ago. I was like,
Yeah.
if he keeps this pace, I don't think he's gonna like last.
Yeah.
And then,
Every single
like,
show, 1942 bottle in
Yeah.
hand. I'm like, oh, it's gonna get tiring really fast.
like a year
Every
later.
show.
A year later is like cool
Yeah.
sober show.
Right.
So
I remember, meeting a couple of those type of young talents where they get their first year of like real touring, real global touring. And then I meet them a year after. I'm like, how was it? You good?
Just exhausted.
Just exhausted, like being unable to talk or blink your eyes, which is funny. Whenever shout out to Steve Aoki, I'm signed to his Dimac label now, but whenever I see Steve Aoki and he brings it in like at Tomorrowland for a hug or anything, I swear he does a 15-second power nap on my shoulder whenever we hug, because he's always like, he came from somewhere and going somewhere, and he's like, I'm so tired. We hug and he's out. I'm like, okay.
you're like, you
Back to
good?
life.
Hey, wake up.
Yeah, we've done a couple tours with him. We've definitely seen him where he looks pretty tired, and we're just like, damn, dude, like, how are you doing this? But I mean, yeah, he's sober, and whenever he's home, he's doing ice baths and sauna and all kinds of weird devices in his house to like rejuvenate. So.
You know what? What I thought was interesting was Diplo announcing that he had a burnout, right? Very
Okay.
recently, only a few weeks ago. And
Did he
was
say those words like burnout, or is he just saying that he was going to take a break?
both, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I
'Cause
gathered
he's
from it.
still running marathons, so
Yeah.
Right.
No, but it's interesting because those guys have been doing the schedule for ages, and it is impossible to keep up, even if you're like super healthy. The only choice you should make is limiting the amount of shows, because in reality, how many shows do you want to do? And at a certain point, if you're at Aoki's level or Diplo's level, it's not even about the money anymore, right? You
Right.
can take it a little bit slower. And it's like with Diplo, I saw on his social media that he was so mad about it that he had the burnout. He was like, I accomplished this and I accomplished that. And it's like, yeah, man, you're a legend.
he has family.
Take
right?
it easy a little bit, Yeah, you
Nothing to
can.
prove.
Yeah. And for some reason, that's just ingrained. And myself as well, I would love to still like do tons of shows. And even after the pandemic, I was like, I'm ready.
Right.
Like, let's go. But yeah, you guys know all of this. I mean, we're sitting here, but in a few days, we're going to be at Miami Music Week. It's going to
Yep.
be crazy. And then I'm supposed to be in South Africa after, and
Okay.
where you
Is
guys
that like
are.
an ultra thing?
No, not even.
Really?
Last week, I was in Australia.
No
Oh,
way.
Yeah.
wow. How was that?
It was just an Australia weekend. I flew in on the Friday. I flew out on the
Wow.
Monday.
I mean, you can't get much further than that, right? It's like
Yeah.
the opposite side of the world.
Yeah, maybe New Zealand, but it's crazy. So when I go into those, I have my hacks. And so, for instance, one of my biggest hacks is I don't do jet lags.
What do you mean?
How can you avoid that?
I do not do
He
jet
just
lags.
decides. He
He
just
mentally
makes a
decides.
decision.
So,
I don't do.
I get destroyed. I get destroyed when we go international
So
for some
for-
reason.
Hold on, you guys still do jet lag?
Yeah,
That's
mine
so
is.
like 2012 guys.
Please teach us.
I love
teach
saying
me.
that
Yeah.
that way purposely. So my clock is 2021 right now, which is 8:21 in New York currently.
Okay.
This is the same clock I have on my laptop, and whenever I'm in Australia, it stays on the same time. I eat on the same time, I sleep on the same time, and so I never get out of it. Like I'm always on New York time.
Oh, okay.
But the sunlight would
So you
mess
just
you
stay
up
in
though.
that time.
Just close the blinds.
Close the blinds, and then whenever you can, open the blinds. And it's like, for me, to be able to do an Australia weekend like that, and to then like bring my daughter to school on the Tuesday morning,
Right.
that's the hack for me.
That makes sense. Nicky Romero,
crazy, bro.
when we did something with him, he was flying from Europe and he said the same thing. He's like, I have to stay on my schedule, otherwise it's going to mess me up.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
try that out.
I remember we did one show in Norway, and it was during summer, and it was north, and the sun never went down.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it messed
Yeah.
me up so bad. I've never experienced that before. I felt like I was sleeping, but I guess I just didn't get any sleep.
Yeah.
And I had the blinds, everything, still just messed me up.
Yeah. But those are huge travel pitfalls, especially for international DJs. Like, how do you maneuver that? Yeah.
Pretty
It's tough.
wild.
Yeah.
And there's more things. For instance, I always sit in a very similar seat in the airplane. Like I always choose a window seat. And how I see the airplane is like, what are all of these people doing in my living room? Because it's almost like my living room because I spend so much time there. All of my bags and stuff with the wires and things are always on the same spot. In a hotel bed, I always sleep on the same side I sleep at home. That sort of thing. So all of these small hacks keep me out of the chaos.
Versus, having to like reset, and then you waste that little bit of downtime. I was going to ask because I know you're a family man. You have like 3 kids,
4.
4
Oh,
kids.
wow.
So how do you balance all that? Like the traveling, we're starting to get to that age where like, maybe we'll pop out a baby soon. I just got married. I got married last month. So
Congrats.
I'm married to a Filipino girl.
Hey.
So hey,
Yeah.
shout out
Shout
Filipino.
out.
Yeah, that's
She's actually
right.
from Guam, but she's part Filipino. So yeah, how do you balance all that?
Well, that is also the answer to the question, because the balance and how do you balance that? It's just a constant question where it's like a tightrope of balancing this crazy DJ life with being a dad and that sort of thing. And it's funny because my kids don't really care like about the DJ stuff. They think it's cool,
Yeah, of
but
course.
it's also like
Just want you home.
that's what their
It
dad.
it humbles you.
It's like what their dad does. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I get what
it's
you're
like
saying.
because your dad can do the coolest things. Like my dad actually makes guitars from scratch,
Oh wow.
and
whoa.
yeah, you guys say like, "Oh yeah," but I grew up with it. I'm like,
Right.
that's just what my dad does. So that is very sobering, which is nice. And then to go off of a stage where everyone's like, this was great, to then dropping your daughter off at school on the Tuesday morning, that type of switch can mess with you. But the balance is there as well. I had a couple of rules always. I would never be on tour longer than 2 weeks. Always bounce back home, spend like 2 or 3 days there, and then go
Like
back.
for a relationship balance
Yeah.
kind of vibes. Yeah.
See, my thing is with the kids, and you guys will find out, is that I always said it hurts after 5 days not seeing your kids. So 2 weeks was already a stretch for me. Yes, those type of rules, if you implement those, you can get that balance.
And you have grown kids now, right?
Yeah.
Do the grown kids, are they ever like, yeah, dad, like I wish you were around more? Like, do they ever like bring, or do they not care? They're like, I thought it was whatever. Yeah, especially if I'm
To
sure
get used to it, maybe. Just
if you have
what
like
it is.
boys, they're probably like, I don't care, dad. Like,
A bit of both, man. So my oldest son is 24 now, and my younger son, he's 22, which I put out a collab with him earlier in the
Oh,
year.
nice.
Oh, sweet.
We released on Dimmac. He's a producer now as well.
Oh, sick.
And it's so funny, a couple of years ago when he started to produce, we were in the living room. We had both our laptops out with Ableton, and he's working on his stuff, and I'm working on my stuff. And at a certain point, he pokes me with his elbow. He's like, Dad, you're like a real producer, huh? I'm like, dude, really? You've seen this all your life, and now only you realize? And it's so funny. So he's trying to follow in my footsteps, which is great. My oldest son, he's a video game designer. He's
Oh,
in
nice.
college for that now. But both of them have said that they have missed me significantly.
Oh.
because you know we lived in LA for a long time, so I always view it as like the child actor thing, where it's like if you're like a child actor, you like grow up and you're like, I'm not putting my kids in acting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that to them. So I mean, I'm not going to push my kids necessarily to do music, but I'm not going to stop them.
You're gonna push.
But I'm going to peer pressure them.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
start turning the.
Yeah, did you want any of your kids to do music, or do you not want them to do music, or are you happy with whatever they're doing?
Happy with whatever they're doing, but I'm gonna reveal it's not really a secret, but something sobering for you guys.
Oh no.
So in your kids, what you get back is not a mini me.
Yeah.
What you get back is your parents
Whoa.
or your siblings,
Oh wow.
which is interesting because
It's not you. Yeah. It's like a different personality.
So say all the discrepancies you have with your parents, like maybe their jobs or whatever, you're going to deal with that in your kids because they'll probably have that same sort of interest. So my dad is an engineer, and my oldest son, he tends to be more on the engineer side of things, while I'm a creative. And I'm like dealing with a younger version of my dad there, which is interesting.
That is.
And so it comes down to where you get lessons on how to deal with your family within the tiny person you made. So there
Right.
you go.
It's
That
like a-
knowledge.
It's
Yeah.
like a mirror
Yeah.
coming back at you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the kids are just born different. Like even when they're like toddlers, they just have different personalities. It's not like who taught them how to do this. They just come out like that.
Baked in through the generations.
Is it true that you won a gold medal?
Several.
It was
Okay.
Yes.
yeah.
Not-
Kung Fu
Oh, yeah.
champion.
Kung Fu, yes.
You kidding
Yeah.
me?
Wow.
Yep.
Because it seems so random when I was reading it because the timeline, it seemed like in the middle of your DJ career. It wasn't like, oh yeah, when I was like 18. It was like in
Yeah.
2003, right? Isn't
Well,
that? How do you have time for that?
What happened in 2003? You were just on it. Yeah.
No, let me tell you about that because it's a fascinating story as well. This was in 2011 where, the EDM peak was starting to set in and everything. And I was doing Kung Fu for 10 years already. And I turned to my Kung Fu teacher and I'm like, teacher, Sifu, I'm about to be burned out. Like I have all of these tours coming up and I don't really know how to deal with all of this. And he said, you need to ramp up your Kung Fu. And I'm like, but how? I don't have time.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost not home. And, and he said, no, you need to do these exercises. So there's a couple of breathing exercises that he implemented. And furthermore, I started taking him with me on tour. I had the
Okay.
luxury
Wow.
back then. So we'd come off a show. We had 3 hours of sleep. And then we would put in like a good 2 hours of Kung Fu before going to the next destination. And being one-on-one with my teacher really ramped up my Kung Fu to at a certain point, he was like, dude, you can compete in the world championships in China, in Hong Kong. And I'm like, I kind of have always wanted to do that.
Like I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna do the after party, a DJ. And
I did.
No way. Wow.
So there's I've put out vlogs about that where you can actually see me compete and then juggling the whole DJ thing.
I feel like if I was competing against you and I dedicated my life, I would be so salty. Like this guy's coming in like half-assing it, part-time kung fu master.
Well,
He's kicking my ass.
Yeah. But back then, if you're one-on-one with your teacher all the time,
Right.
that's
You're
a whole
learning
different
faster.
story. Yeah. And this was hardcore, dude, because we were going through a sequence where we needed to train with bow staffs and we didn't have any bow staffs. So my teacher just grabbed like iron poles from what is it, the construction site or whatever. And we started training with that, and he hit me in the face a couple of times.
Damn.
And it's like you see me on the vlog with a busted lip and a black eye almost.
I was thinking like the stage is collapsing. He like just pulled a pole like from the scaffolding,
Yeah, well, we did crazy stuff, and so it was actually very helpful to stay mentally focused as well. I remember being in Ibiza playing for the Tomorrowland crew, being a guest for Dimitri Vegas and like Mike, and the whole Tomorrowland crew were there, and they were like trying to feed me shots, and I'm like, next weekend I'm competing in the World Championships. I can't do that right now, and everyone was like, oh, go party, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna go to sleep now. I'm gonna wake up in 2 hours, and I'm gonna train, and it's that type of dedication that I put in there those years.
But you competed against Americans. You competed against like British people, like people from all over the world. Like,
Well,
it was-
so how that works in Kung Fu is as you do the forms, which is a sequence of moves, and if it looks great, then you get like your medal. This was hardcore, man. This was in Hong Kong.
So you weren't fighting people?
No.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because that's the thing as well. My teacher always said, like, because we have Chinese kickboxing in our system as well, which I did, and I sparred and that sort of thing. But he's like, you cannot get hurt, like, because if you're gonna be on stage, because I needed to be functional
makes
on
sense.
stage,
Right.
So it's like mastering the moves.
mastering the
Okay.
moves. Yep.
There's something that I think about a lot because I'm kind of more of a jack of all trades, but do you feel like when you're doing too many things at once, it takes away from it? Because it just kind of blows my mind that you're like touring around the world, but doing the Olympics.
Yeah. So
Like, did
yeah.
something suffer like when you're doing that? Or?
No, in this case, it fueled me for both, because I remember feeling tired from DJing the night before, and then after a training, I was all like amped up again. So I made that a priority always. Like sometimes when I landed at a new destination to train, and then feeling all the blood running and having all the power to do all the emails that were needed to do or finish off this track or whatever. And so it complemented each other.
It is kind of a different type of training. Like when you watch the Rocky movies and they have the montage and he's like, screw it, I'm going to go in the snow and like chop wood and pull this sled. Like there's something about the touring of the DJ where I feel like I have so much more endurance than the regular person who's working a 9 to 5 and they're like complaining about their job. And I'm like, bro, you don't even have to sleep on planes. Like, shut up, dude. Like,
Well, it's interesting because they can't imagine that, right? Because all they see is the glitter and glamour of things, and you get to travel, right? But then I always try and say, like, okay, then put yourself on a schedule for a month where you only sleep 4 hours every day, and then you got to perform like maximum for the whole month to see how you feel at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Because that's basically a summer tour, but a summer tour is like 2 months.
Yeah.
wow. Is there like an end game for you, or you're just like, I'm gonna just do this until I drop dead? Like I'm gonna go forever? Because like even for me, I just turned 34. And
Wow,
like,
you're old, man.
I know, but I'm just like, it's not that I feel like I'm gonna quit anytime soon, but in my head, I'm like, how long do I want to go? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do I want to do this just forever? I mean, even the Calvin Harris interview, I don't know if it went viral, but he's like talking about how like, I'll probably stop it. I don't know if he said 43 or whatever. And the guy's like, dude, you're 41. Like,
Oh wow.
so you're going to be done in like a year or two.
One more album. Yeah.
He's like, I'm just
Wow.
going to be in the background, like ghost producing. He was like, who wants to see I think what he said was, who wants to see like a 40-year-old DJing? And they're all like, there's a lot of 40-year-olds.
There's a lot of people that want to see it. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that are, yeah.
Well, full transparency for me, the end years kept on shifting for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas, like, if I think about it, like when I was in my 30s, I was like, okay, at 45, I'll probably just, and then when I turned 45, it's like, oh, I'll probably finish, you know. And I'm currently actually in my second musical youth where I just rebranded myself. The It Clicked track you played out yesterday is my new sound, my new staple. I have a new logo, I have a new look, I have new hair, and it's a new season for me. And it's
kind of,
weird.
it's like Super Saiyan 2, you know,
Yeah.
like the hair gets
Exactly.
bigger. Yeah.
Yep. And how? Why? I don't know, but I'm amped, man. I'm like, yeah, I wanna do this forever. It's crazy.
So yeah, no scaling down the touring, or is
No.
it more just strategic, like a cycle? I feel like every once in a while, where it's like, all right, we need to spend 3 months in the studio and play less shows, and then we're like rejuvenated again. And we're like,
Right.
all right, cool,
Mhm.
let's hit the road again.
Well, interestingly enough, that's how it works for bands, right?
right, yeah,
You go into the studio, you make your album, then you tour your album. That is actually really healthy. What DJs do touring all year round is not it, man.
Yeah.
I definitely get envious of that schedule because you can kind of like mentally prepare for it. But then I think there's pros and cons. Like if you're on that schedule, you're for your tour, you're gone for like 2 months straight or 3 months straight or whatever it is. And we did the whole country album. So we had a lot of interactions with these country artists, and I mean, it's cool. They'll bring their whole family on the tour bus, like babies, like newborn babies.
Have like a studio on the bus.
Yeah.
Did you ever tour in a tour bus?
Yeah.
A couple times.
Which is
Fun,
awesome.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
like it a
fun.
lot. Just avoiding the airplanes and stuff is great, and being able to sleep in until you get to the city. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
The motion
I
of
enjoy
the
that.
bus just rocks you to sleep
Yeah, it's
like
like
a
I'm in a
baby.
cradle.
Yeah.
You missed the bus, huh?
I miss it. Yeah, I like the bus.
Airplanes are tiring.
Yeah.
And you got to wake up early. You got to do
Security and shit.
2 hours of just, yeah, exactly. Going through, waiting around, flight delays.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. Yeah.
What's like the craziest tour moments for you where you're just like, I can't believe I'm playing the show, or there's something sketchy that happened? We play a lot of sketchy shows. I don't know if you play sketchy shows or if they're all like cool, like professional EDM shows, but we play some funny places.
Oh, now I want to hear that. What do you consider a sketchy show?
Yeah, which one?
Well,
I'm like sketchy. What
yeah,
are we
like
doing?
sketchy.
What are we even doing? I don't know.
It's just all part of the journey and the process. There was one that comes to mind when we played that Mexico festival, and like there's something, the scaffolding or the stage, it was like falling apart. So, but we had to go on, and we started DJing, and we looked down. There's like 3 Mexican dudes like holding up the stage below
This thing
us
might just collapse right now.
for like a full hour. And there's 3 just 6'4" dudes up there, some like 5'6" Mexican dudes just using all their strength and energy, like sweating. I'm like, I feel so bad for you guys, but also not, because like we could have died from this stage. So I don't know what to say. Let's just
That's
finish
a good
the show.
example. Yeah, that was wild.
That's where those videos come from, right? Where you see the stage collapsing. Or
Yeah,
dude, it
seriously.
is.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there's wind. Yeah, you can't control everything. I get it.
Yeah.
No, see, you're like, no, I played Tomorrowland and Ultra. They're always great. We even had issues at Ultra.
Listen,
Oh, yeah.
one of my biggest moments was in 2010. Was it 2010? Where it was the last EDC in Los Angeles.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Coliseum.
Coliseum.
There's some
way.
people that died, right?
And yeah, unfortunately, there were a couple of people that passed away there, a couple of kids, heartbreaking. But when they started coming over the fence, and was during my set, I had to
No
stop my
way.
set, and someone from the organization, and I almost think it was Pasquale, might have been Pasquale. He came onto the mic, so I needed to stop my set. He came on the mic, and he was like, "People, we can't have you come over the barriers. Stay calm. Treat each other with respect." And Little John, who was with me on stage, he was like, "Give me the mic." And he was like, "If you see a motherfucker come on the stage, pull the motherfucker down." And he was like commanding that stuff. And there's still...
So he was trying to calm the crowd down, or he was trying to amp them
Hype
up?
'em up.
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, people were climbing over the fences massively, and he was trying to stop that, and he was commanding that whole area. That was a big moment for me, and obviously nothing to do with like being sketch, but that was like crazy.
It's scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a couple instances like that. Like I know we brought up that the like Big Sean show we played. We were opening before Big Sean, and the crowd, they were just rushing so hard to get to the barrier so they could see Big Sean after us.
Oh yeah.
And they were literally squishing this like
Yeah.
college
they
age
all started
girl.
to fall over. Like, the
started
whole
falling
crowd
over.
fell over. It was like, what?
Scary.
But
It
she was screaming. She was like, "Help
Yeah.
me, help me! I can't breathe! Help me!" And then they just they didn't even tell us. I don't think they just cut our music off. And like after 3 songs, we're like, "Okay, well,
like, this is unsafe. You have to stop the show. Like, oh my gosh.
fair enough."
I do have one private jet story,
Okay,
Oh, wow.
which I want to share.
Let's
Love
hear
to
it.
hear it.
Which is one of the scariest flying moments I had. It was Martin Solveig's jet, and we were jetting from Tomorrowland to Ibiza to make the show. And he's like, "Yeah, Luke, just join me on the jet. And you're on my show tonight." And I'm like, "Cool." It was the summer tour. I was tired, so we go into the jet. I'm like, "Whatever. I'm just gonna sleep because So mid sleep, my ex-wife was on the plane, and she was poking me awake, and I was about to like yell at her like, "Let me sleep. I need this." So I open my eyes, and I see her sitting across from me with an oxygen mask on, big eyes. The whole cabin is dark, and I hear woo woo woo, and she's pointing to my oxygen mask, and I'm like, "Okay," And then as soon as I put the mask on, we went like this for 10 minutes.
No
Oh
way.
god, dude.
wow,
That is horrifying. That's
And,
like my worst nightmare.
That's when my life shot through my mind, all of it. I'm like, what is going on?
What would you say? What year that was?
2003? No.
Oh, yeah, everything. Yeah.
2013, 14, something like that.
So yeah, that's like, because you're well into your career. You're like,
Yeah.
I should have retired last year. Like,
Yeah.
why was I just kept rolling the dice?
All of this flashed by, and it's after 10 minutes we stabilized, and then we landed in the middle of France somewhere on like a farm.
Wow.
Apparently, what happened, like the seal of the door broke and
Oh my God.
set off an alarm, which then you need to land immediately. And yeah, just stepping out of that plane was so crazy. Obviously, we didn't make the show or anything.
That was after you put out the song Turbulence. And
Hey, I love that. We played it going down.
Yeah, exactly.
you're like, I'll never put out a song about.
I saw Martin Solveig with his phone up streaming
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, how do you like this?
Yeah, in your face.
This is what you asked for, Luke.
Yeah, you think it's all fun and games and Lil Jon. You guys rent out a plane for the music video. Like,
So
yeah.
this is how it kind of sucked when I landed. It's because I had my own label. I was putting out all of these talents, and I had a lot of requests of kids wanting me to hear their demo. So I tweeted that I had landed safely. It just came off of a thing, and some kid tweeted me back. He's like, "Oh, since you survived this, can you listen to my demo? Put the SoundCloud link on." I'm like, seriously, dude. This life sucks.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, nobody.
He's like,
cares.
anyways, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
like-
Listen to my song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Yeah,
Yeah, going back to that mentorship you're talking about a little bit, like that doesn't really happen nowadays, it feels like. I don't see that at all.
Well, it's
Why do you think
interesting.
that is?
I do that naturally. I had this conversation with Chucky, DJ Chucky, about this, where I'm like, dude, why aren't you putting any like online courses up or coaching or anything? Because you have the skills, you have the talent, the experience. And he's like, I'm just not a teacher. I'm like, oh, see, because I also come from a line of teachers. All of my uncles are like math teachers, and my dad has studied to be a teacher. And I naturally share my knowledge.
Right.
And I love picking up people that are on the up and guiding them. That's actually a sort of a hobby of mine. And I still do that. So there's plenty around, and it's just always so nice to see them thrive. And whenever they actually make it, it's like, dude, I can't believe you made it.
Right.
It's amazing. So yeah, it's really satisfying. And yeah, I still do that. Even like in the background, don't need to like put it on social media or anything, but it's just fun.
I did see an
man.
interview
It's really cool.
where you were talking about just the scene in Amsterdam, and from your perspective, you think Americans are more competitive.
100%.
So maybe there's part of that. I mean, there's so much.
Oh, that's- yeah.
There's so much different genres in America too, that maybe it's harder to find your community. Where the way we think of the Netherlands, and it's almost like you're trained from a young age to be like electronic DJ. Like there's no escaping it. Like you're just gonna bump into a big DJ like on the street, like getting your French fries with mayonnaise or whatever.
Love that. And this is true. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Like the ADE experience almost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. No, but it also has to do with capitalism. God bless capitalism, and you know all of what you do over here in this wonderful country. In the Netherlands, it works differently, where it's more community based, and then if you thrive as a community, then we can all rise. And this is what we did.
Well, yeah, you guys got free healthcare and all that.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole.
You don't have as many fat people though.
Yeah, this is true.
We can't afford it over here. There's too many fatties.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen.
You guys got more bikes than people in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true.
this
Because
is true.
burning so many calories. All you guys like butts look so firm and plump
Whoa.
over there.
Whoa, dude,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
He loves the Netherlands.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying there's pros and cons. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's pros and cons. Obviously, the whole
I would say it's more cutthroat in America. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, yeah,
As
for
far as especially in like the major label system, I think there's more an underground community that's together. Like I don't know. What do you guys think
Yeah, I don't know.
compared to like the Euro?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
big
different for
DJs
sure. I
and
mean, you always heard about mentorships and stuff with like different DJs in Europe. I mean, I've never heard of that at all in America.
Yeah, we've never
name
had
one. Like
I think Skrillex like mentors people. Diplo, like he
but you know,
definitely.
like, but like, what big DJ did he mentor?
Yeah, there's no
you
one
know
that
what I mean?
like came from underneath
like
them.
European DJs
Marshmello.
like really put on like legit big.
Skrillex kind of put on Marshmello.
A little bit, yeah, but it's what it kind of put him on other than mentoring. You know what it feels like.
Yeah, like
you
shouts
know?
him out.
So it's interesting how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so yeah, there's something to say for like the competition side of it and making money off of it. But I think it, especially Americans, and whenever I come across Americans, I'm like, dude, you guys got a band together like us Dutch DJs did. Like all of you will make money as a community. It'll be great money. And furthermore, it'll give dance music that platform that it deserves again. And it's like, why can't you do that?
I think I don't know. It's too spread out. Like every city has their own genre. You got like
Yeah, I think
Jersey,
that-
and they're doing Jersey club, and it's like I don't
Different
want to make
vibes.
that music, you know. So I don't know.
There is a competition over here. It's weird. It's interesting.
People
Yeah.
have egos over here too.
Yeah.
Bigger egos, I feel.
It's like
Yeah.
about their brand or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely enough to go around, so it's weird. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Well, sick, guys. Anything else we want to cover? Feeling good.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, this was great. I really
dude.
love doing these.
Yeah, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah,
we
it's my
appreciate
pleasure.
it, bro.
Awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate you jumping on the pod. We know you got to catch a red-eye flight back to New York. I did want to ask you, I thought it was interesting. You live in America now. Did you ever consider and think to yourself, I'm going to be an American one day? Or I'm going to like live in America. What are the pros and cons? Do you like it? Do you miss Europe?
What I love about America is that the sky is a limit. So
Right.
the Netherlands is a very like in the Netherlands we have a saying, don't act crazy because normal is crazy enough. When you try and stick out in the Netherlands, or like
Right.
for instance me, I want to be a big global DJ. All of the people in the Netherlands were like, why? You can't make it. Like, don't even try. Over here in America, it's like, yeah, man, go for it. Whatever. Also vibes, which is interesting. Just an integral part of American DNA is where whenever you're at a birthday party or whenever you're at a sports game, it's like everyone is cheering. And so even if when you sing happy birthday, everyone's like, whoa, yeah, whoa, yeah. In the Netherlands, it's a whole different vibe. It's like very held back. So a lot of the Dutch DJs, when you think they're kind of like conservative in their outings, that's because of how our country is. So this is what I love from America. But what I struggle with is, especially coming from the Netherlands, is the healthcare, is how the schools are, and just an environment for my kids compared to the Netherlands. It's tough. I remember going to a Best Buy when I first started living here. And there was a friend of the family working there, and he was an older gentleman, and I bought a TV from him, and I noticed that he was walking like a cripple, but he was working. And so I bought this TV. It was really heavy. He came out of the warehouse carrying that TV, and I remember thinking, this is crazy. In the Netherlands, someone like this would get healthcare and he wouldn't need to work. So I asked, I was like, why is this guy working since he's obviously crippled? And they're like, well, if he doesn't work, he has no money.
Yeah.
And for me, that's super hardcore.
No, man, that's like the idea of freedom,
You're right. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's hardcore. Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah. It's basically
Or even the notion of like, if you don't have healthcare over here and you come into an accident, that you call an Uber to go to the hospital instead of getting an ambulance.
Oh no,
because-
yeah. There's a lot of issues with the
Right?
health,
Right,
the
yeah.
healthcare
It's
system
wild.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you know about the United Healthcare guy and all that.
Yeah, it
guy
was
getting
like
murdered and all
yeah.
that. But yeah, it's wild because it's like that guy killed him and there's no solution being put forward. Like, what's the policy to be put forward? The easy idea, like you said, let's just do what Amsterdam is doing, and then you look and you're like, okay, 14 million people versus 350 million people, 60-70% obesity rate, like all this You're
Well,
like,
there's a whole lot I can say about the food as well over here.
Oh,
and
yeah,
how that's
so-
structured and the type of research I did in terms of like
that's why I was asking you about the Diet Coke.
yeah. Well, we obviously we have that in the Netherlands, but the dairy and so for instance, whenever we go to the Netherlands, when I brought my wife there first, and she's like, "Oh, where's the organic aisle?" And I'm like, "Babe,
It's all organic, baby.
it's all organic. We don't have that over here. You have biological stuff, which is less sprayed with toxins or whatever, but everything's organic, like because you get real food." That sort of thing. It's wild how
That
that
is really
works over here.
interesting.
And this whole structure, and I don't want to get too political, but like in the what was it in the 60s and 70s when you had the massive like explosion of corn.
Yeah, it's corn
Oh,
subsidies. Yeah.
Yeah, corn subsidies. That is a wild one.
And then later you find out that the food pyramid was just a lobby. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't actually scientific.
What,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that? Like it's a
Like the
scheme?
actual food pyramid was just pushed by like a corn lobby or like
Oh, okay.
a grain lobby because they wanted us to eat more grains and corn because that's like the main crops that we yielded, even though it wasn't actually healthier for you to eat 8 to 10 servings of carbohydrates or grains a day.
So, but being a child of the 80s and growing up in Europe, seeing the land of McDonald's and Pepsi, for me, it's such a huge honor to be here and
Yeah, and you live in New York
experience this.
as
Yeah.
well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
New York's
Like
next level energy.
for me, America is still the land of freedom of speech, and where the sky is the limit, and you can still make it from nothing.
Yeah, that's the wild thing too, especially now after COVID, and we see we're in the creative space. If you're gonna do journalism or music and you can't have freedom of speech, you're gonna be limited to your creativity. You're gonna be like capped. And I don't know, there's some crazy stuff going on in Germany. It's like they're like arresting people for memes.
UK.
Yeah.
UK
Wow.
is happening.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It
Big
happens
time.
happens a little bit in Canada, but it's not like super extreme yet. And you're just like, oh, you kind of take that for granted, and then you see the last 4 years, and you realize, oh, it is actually different here. We don't just like pat ourselves on the back, like, yeah, we got more freedoms than you. It's like actually real. You're like, damn.
Yeah, it's
Didn't realize
becoming more
that.
and more real.
But yeah, I'm grateful to be in this space. Grateful to see how dance music is going, and
Yeah, where do you think it's gonna go? Like, because in America right now, it's not really as mainstream as it was. We had one of our big radio hits in like 2017, 2018 era, and now most of the radio songs are like completely different style, which everything cycles. But Europe is different, and like you said, you're like, I'm revitalized. You have It Clicked that we played last night.
Yep.
And do you think actually there is a lot of people that say like, oh, progressive house is coming back, or like big room house is coming back?
which is great. It's so nice to hear about those cycles. For me, the moment that it clicked was kind of like stopping chasing the carrot, because it killed me
Right.
as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing the trends, is that what you mean?
Chasing the trends, like I needed to go back into my original artistry, where I was like, I just need to be happy with what I'm putting out, and whatever it doesn't really matter right now. Where I'm like, I kind of need dance music to be dope again, to be like, ooh, oh, that's amazing. I don't want it to be vanilla anymore. I want it to be like, I want those classics back, like the big progressive house classics. Whereas like, where are those? Like a Clarity, you guys played Clarity yesterday, the big anthems, and it's like, I think we need to get back to those, where it really makes an impression on a community and make classics, man.
And you've seen a lot of your older songs from like the 2010 era have a rejuvenation from like TikTok. And we were kind of talking about the American sports teams. They seem to play Turbulence in like every arena, like hockey or the Tsunami. We're friends with the Dubs boys. They always play that in like the NBA.
Dude, when Steve and I made Turbulence, we never anticipated it to be that. We just made something dope, something
Right.
heavy, something to jump to. And then just out of, I guess, sheer luck, it ended up in the stadiums, and now it's everywhere. But it was never meant to be like, oh, let's get streaming numbers up, or, let's do this because it's great for our career. No, we were just in the studio wanting to make something with energy.
But do you approach songs differently if you know like, oh, this is going to be a club record, or versus like you said, streaming? Like, do you edit it a different way? Do you like, hey, this is my streaming record?
No,
this is my...
I kind of don't want to do streaming anymore.
Yeah, okay. And then if it happens by accident, then it's like, cool.
If it's something that lands and something that you can sing along to, but has the right heart, it'll end up there.
I do think that's a good thing for the viewers and listeners to see with like Turbulence or a lot of these big songs. It's like you had to make like 200 songs or like 100 records, and then you get your one.
Well, mind you, when I made Leave the World Behind with the Swedish House Mafia, I was like, what was it, 15, 20 years into my career already.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I remember us...
See, that's good because I'm sitting here, we're like
We're on year 10.
11 years, and we're like, I don't know how much we got left, boys.
And so, for instance, the vocals we had of Deborah Cox, Axel and I, it was an actual song. And Axel and I just took the a cappella. And I remember flagging, because Leave the World Behind wasn't the chorus. It was just like, I heard that and I was like, oh, that's it. That's the hook. That's what we need to repeat. And the track doesn't have any like a song structure or anything. It's built off of a bass line, and then in the break, it's the big piano come out with more vocals. But it's kind of like, here's the trick. It's like whenever you see a friend and you say, oh, I heard this new song. Did you hear it? And they're like, what song is that? And, oh, it's that song with Leave the World Behind.
Then that's the title.
Then that's it.
Yeah, that's like the hook.
That's
right.
the hook.
Do you feel like you had a feeling ahead of time for your biggest songs? Or do you think it's just random?
Mm-mm. So how this worked with me was I put the song out, and it was only years later that it caught on. So for instance, when Leave the World Behind came out, it was like a UK top 20 song, did nothing much in America, went through all the clubs and the DJs, to then maybe like a decade later with you guys coming up being like, oh, I remember that song, and now I'm going to play it out, and there's going to be remixes. And then all of a sudden, it becomes this big classic, like organically. I remember putting out Break Down the House, and it was peak electro days, where everything had fart bass lines, and I was putting
fart bass line.
and I was putting out house. No one wanted to sign the track either. And I was wrecking festivals with that. I was like, this works. And then I put it out on my own label, and it did okay. But then 5 to 10 years later, it becomes
Damn, really that long?
Yeah, it becomes an underground classic.
Wow.
It's so interesting.
That is.
I mean, we have a couple records when we put them out. We're like, we're pretty sure this is gonna be big, but it was more because we had like a big feature or something.
Yeah.
But then like every other one was just random. If
Yeah.
wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Pop, our stuff is a little bit more like pop leaning, so you have a feeling sometimes when you think you have a catchy chorus, so yeah.
But you get into it and you think these major labels or the A&Rs, they're the experts. They know what's going to happen. And then you have 2 or 3 times where they're like, this is the record. We know it's the record. We're putting money behind it. And then it just flops.
yeah,
Completely
exactly.
falls on its face. And you're like, wait, so you guys don't know what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys are just normal people? We're on the same level playing field as far as what songs might go and might not? Okay.
Yeah.
But now they don't really do that anymore. They're just like, oh, let's see if it gets big on TikTok first.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Right.
it. I was about to say, because what is a big song nowadays? Sometimes it's not even about the hook anymore, because there is no hook. And it's about how many people use it on TikTok, or how many people identify with it.
You think that's good for music or bad? TikTok and
Yeah.
you think it's good?
Well, it's a good vehicle to get your music around if it hits, right?
It's probably gonna be a lot less 8-minute songs.
Yes.
Yes, they're getting a lot
Straight to the point.
shorter. Yeah.
Like you have to design your song around like, okay, what's like the TikTok moment? Like, that's when I know it clicked. And you're like, okay, maybe that could work on TikTok.
Here's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know. If you now put your track out on streaming platforms, you get to decide the TikTok moment, where you actually, as an artist, you can say, oh, TikTok moment is at 15 seconds, because right then after comes the drop or anything. And it's funny, I never realized that, because I let the label handle that, but now I know I can pick it.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting
Yeah,
world.
it really is.
Do you think, I don't know if you follow this at all, but do you think Chris Stapleton got robbed for the country Grammy from Beyonce?
Oh wow.
That was a left field one. I like
a
that
great
one.
question.
That's great.
Well,
I think so. I mean, yeah. Come on now.
didn't Beyonce rob us from a lot of dance Grammys?
She had that
Yes,
one.
she
shit.
has.
She
She
took all of
has.
them.
It's so
So
true.
good for her.
So
Yeah.
she robbed everybody. So it's all.
Yeah, rob the dance artist, rob the country artist,
It's all
whatever.
equal.
Let her have it. She cares more than we do.
No, but a country, I think it's interesting. I'm not really that involved, but I think it's such a strong movement now, and I see all of these country acts as well with the big beards and the hats, not even cowboy hats, right? And it's like it's almost like a full circle revival now, where it's like all of a sudden super cool to be in that space as well. And like you guys had put out like country records recently, right?
Yeah. I think maybe part of it has to do with the authenticity. Does it feel more authentic to be like a country artist? Like there's less production, like all the song production kind of all sounds the same.
It's the storytelling, you know?
It's
Yeah.
the storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's what attracts people, because they can cling on to that. They can identify themselves with it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Versus if you're a pop star like Tate McRae or this type of artist and here's my perfect representation of myself, maybe you don't connect as much. I mean, it seems like there's only 3 or 4 pop stars at a time now because people just aren't connecting as much. And then there's like some viral TikTok artists that you never heard of because people like want to cheer them on.
Yeah.
Like that, oh, I want you to get big.
Yeah, it's fascinating how that works. And it's ever changing, you know. Maybe if we come back here in like 4 years, it's a whole different landscape. And
Right.
how do you maneuver that?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it, boys.
Love it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Laidback Luke, and we'll be in Miami next week. We got a couple shows. You got some shows you want to shout out, or anything coming up you want to shout out?
No, the big one in Miami will be the DIMAC takeover at 11. I'll be
Very
on
cool.
right after the big guy, Steve Aoki. So that'll be fun.
Oh,
Shout out
awesome.
Steve.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. Well, we'll see you there.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. It's been Cheat Codes Podcast with Laidback Luke. Peace. See you guys next time.